ADF attacks, ADF attacks on civilians on Ground Zero, Batibo in particular. We know they have carried out quite a number of attacks against civilians, but what is happening in Batibo calls for particular attention, and that is why I am coming to you with this talking point. If we condemn attacks on civilians in Ngoketunjia and anywhere else in Ambazonia, we cannot do otherwise for ADF attacks on civilians in Batibo, Momo County. The lamentations reaching us from Batibo talk of ADF fighters harassing, arresting, and torturing civilians mercilessly. And this has been going on for quite a while now. In some cases, they pick and lock you up or lock up residents until ransom is paid before they can regain their freedom. This is one of the messages that was sent to me yesterday from a resident observer from Batibo. He said, and I quote, "You cannot enter Batibo now without a receipt in your hands, because the ADF asked people in Batibo, especially from Uwai, Bison, and people using other routes inside Batibo, that they should pay 10,000 francs. I'm quoting from the person. Men, he said, must pay 10,000 francs. Women pay 5,000. And then they are issued receipts. If you do not have the money, he said, the ADF will catch you and beat you well. When they beat you, they lock you until family or friends come and post bail for the person. Every day," he continued, "people are afraid to enter the village. If you are an outsider and are visiting any of the villages, prepare your 10,000 francs if you are a man. If a woman, prepare your 5,000. If you are someone who has a good job, you are made to pay from 30,000 francs. End of quote. The leadership of ADF, which owns and controls the ADF, must be held accountable for these abuses on civilians. If we hold Saigon accountable for abducting people and forcing them to pay ransoms and making life in general miserable for them in Ngoketunjia, fairness demands that we equally hold ADF and the ADF to the same standard. There is a yearning for unity and collaboration among us in this crusade for independence from all over the place. But these efforts meet with stumbling blocks in the face of such criminalities as being perpetrated by ADF and the ADF on Ground Zero. We are bound to condemn and disassociate ourselves from such deplorable treatment of our own civilian population. La République du Cameroon will never call the ADF for such attacks on our people. But all of us, all the groups are then made to be accomplices. And so we have no choice but to condemn it while distancing ourselves from it too. At any time a group that is supposed to be defending the people turns against the same people, we must recognize that for them, the war is no longer against the enemy, against La République du Cameroon. Their enemy is the people, and their own war is against the very people they're supposed to defend. In any community where they show up, that community should not hesitate to root them out. They don't fight for you. They make life most miserable for you. If you can do anything on your own to trap them down or to target them to pay for their harassment and torture, it is within your right to do so. Our civilians should not be made double victims in this war, ladies and gentlemen. No, they should not. They cannot be victims in the hands of the invader, La République du Cameroon soldiers, and also victims in the hands of fighters who ought to be protecting them against La République du Cameroon's invaders. In this time of economic misery on our people stemming from the war, civilians should not be subjected to any form of levies they cannot afford. We are not in apartheid South Africa, and civilians should not be subjected to carrying any form of passes as in apartheid South Africa days. If the ADF wants to prove anything, if they have anything, ladies and gentlemen, to prove, our civilians are the wrong targets. They can prove it to the many La République du Cameroon citizens and businesses that we have in Bamenda or in Fako, not on civilians. It is cowardly to target people less powerful than you while you have the real enemy out there. Go after their brasseries, their transportation industry, their blacklegs and traitors. Leave the villagers alone. Leave the civilians alone. They are already paying enough for a war they didn't choose. If you live in Batibo, again, if you live in Batibo, please send us your stories. And if you have pictures and videos, do not hesitate to send them to us too. All Ambazonians must condemn this kind of deranged conduct in the strongest of terms, and bluntly too.